Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt a strange disconnect staring back at you? Not the kind of change that comes from growth or progress, but a quiet, almost invisible shift that creeps in without you noticing. Your reflection seems familiar, yet unfamiliar. Your eyes don't carry the same fire they once did, your posture feels heavier, and the way you speak has lost that sharp, commanding edge. Somewhere along the line, you started living for someone else's approval. You started measuring every thought, every word, every movement, against her expectations. You stopped being the man she fell in love with and gradually became the man she tolerates. It doesn't happen all at once, it's a slow erosion. The laughter that used to come effortlessly now feels calculated. The energy that made your presence felt without saying a word has been replaced by anxious overthinking, silent calculations of how she will respond. And the truth is, she notices it before you do. She feels the subtle shift, even if she can't put it into words. Attraction is delicate, built on energy, presence, and confidence. When a man loses his center, when he starts bending and reshaping himself to fit someone else's desires, the magnetic pull begins to fade. She starts retreating, quietly at first, emotionally slowly, testing whether the man she once knew is still there. Every time you compromise your own identity for hers, you chip away at the invisible bond that made her feel secure around you. It isn't about being controlling or unkind, it's about maintaining the core of who you are, that inner stillness, that quiet authority, that masculine presence that draws her in without you even trying. And when you lose it, you don't just lose her attraction, you lose yourself. One of the first subtle ways a man begins to lose a woman's respect is by overexplaining himself. It starts innocently, an attempt to clarify a misunderstanding or ensure she doesn't feel neglected, but over time, it becomes a pattern, a silent confession of insecurity. Every text you send, every delay you try to justify, every decision she questions, becomes an opportunity to convince her that you're worthy of staying. But here's the problem, attraction doesn't thrive on explanations, it thrives on confidence. When you over-explain, you're not clarifying, you're pleading. You're saying, without words, that you need her approval to feel valid, that her perception of you matters more than your own sense of self. A man who is grounded doesn't have to justify every action. He states what he intends, acts with purpose, and trusts that his presence and consistency communicate his worth far better than paragraphs ever could. Over-explaining kills the subtle tension that keeps attraction alive. It replaces intrigue with predictability and calm assurance with desperation. Women aren't drawn to men who feel the need to constantly defend their value, they're drawn to men whose value is self-evident, whose confidence is quiet but undeniable, whose presence commands attention without a single word of justification. The next time you feel the urge to write a long explanation for why you didn't reply instantly or why you made a choice that didn't include her, pause. Step back. Let your actions speak. Let your calm, measured responses show that your life isn't defined by her approval or disapproval. In doing so, you reclaim not only her respect but your own power, your own center, and the magnetic energy that first drew her toward you. Confidence isn't what you say, it's how you exist. Another critical way a man begins to lose respect is by taking responsibility for a woman's emotions as if they were his own. It starts subtly, she's upset, and you feel compelled to fix it, she's quiet, and you chase her warmth, she's distant, and your mind races, trying to decode every shift in her mood. The problem is, emotional storms are not your responsibility. They are hers to navigate. When you attempt to regulate her feelings, you remove the mystery and tension that naturally exist in a relationship, and you unknowingly make yourself predictable. Attraction thrives on confidence and steadiness, not on constant reaction. A man who is truly grounded becomes the calm ocean while she is the wave, unshaken by her fluctuations. Instead of panicking, overthinking, or trying to solve everything, you observe, you remain steady, and you allow her the space to feel her emotions fully. The more you chase, the more you signal that your value depends on her moods, and the more she unconsciously tests you to see if you'll break. Over time, this creates a subtle imbalance, you become reactive, anxious, and less magnetic. Women are drawn to men who can hold their own presence, who can navigate their own life and purpose without being pulled in every direction by emotional turbulence. When you maintain calm, you project strength, stability, and masculine energy, which naturally inspires respect and attraction. She may not understand consciously why she feels drawn to you, but she will feel it viscerally. Being grounded doesn't mean ignoring her entirely, it means responding from a place of inner strength, not desperation, and letting her feel your unwavering presence instead of your constant attempt to appease or fix her. One of the most common mistakes men make when they feel her pulling away is confusing attention with presence. When a woman starts to distance herself, many men respond by performing, posting more on social media, texting faster, complimenting harder, or going out of their way to prove how much they care. At first glance, it might seem like effort, but in reality, it communicates neediness and insecurity. True presence, the kind that attracts and holds a woman's respect, is quiet, steady, and self-assured. Presence isn't measured in the frequency of your messages or the volume of your actions, it's measured in the consistency of your energy, the calm confidence you radiate, and the way you live your life without waiting for her approval. Women feel this presence, it's magnetic, compelling, and impossible to ignore. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Let your absence do the talking. Let your life, your mission, and your grounded energy speak louder than any attempt to impress her. When you stop chasing attention, you force her to recognize the value of what she may be taking for granted. This doesn't mean ignoring her or being cold, it means not letting your self-worth depend on her reaction. The man who commands respect is the one who moves through life with quiet confidence, unaffected by temporary distance or emotional fluctuations. Presence is a force that cannot be faked, bought, or manipulated. It is earned through consistency, self-mastery, and the refusal to sacrifice your center for validation. By focusing on becoming a man who is complete in himself, rather than constantly seeking her attention, you reclaim the magnetic energy that naturally draws a woman in, igniting curiosity, desire, and admiration that no performance could ever create. Another subtle way a man begins to lose a woman's respect is by becoming predictable. At the start of a relationship, you had mystery, intrigue, and a life that extended beyond her world. She couldn't figure you out, and that uncertainty created attraction. You had a rhythm, a focus, a direction that made her curious about what you were doing when she wasn't around. But over time, as you start caring too much about how she perceives you, you lose that unpredictability. Every text is answered instantly, every plan revolves around her, and your life outside her presence starts to shrink. Predictability kills fascination. It replaces intrigue with routine and turns magnetic energy into something ordinary. Attraction thrives on curiosity, on the sense that there is depth to you she hasn't fully uncovered, on the feeling that your world doesn't revolve entirely around her but is rich, complex, and full of purpose. Being unpredictable doesn't mean playing games or being manipulative, it means having a life, a vision, and an inner world that exists independently of her presence. It means sometimes being quiet, sometimes saying no, sometimes following your own schedule, and sometimes prioritizing your own growth and goals. Women are drawn to men who are alive, engaged, and self-directed, not men whose entire being depends on their reactions. The spark she felt at the beginning was tied to your independence, your focus, your ability to be fully yourself without constantly seeking her validation. Regain that energy by cultivating your own life, your own passions, and your own quiet moments. The more you invest in your own world, the more magnetic you become, the more she is reminded of the man she was first drawn to, and the more respect and fascination she naturally regains. A critical mistake that erodes respect in a relationship is confusing kindness with submission. Many men think that saying yes to everything, accommodating every request, and avoiding any form of conflict demonstrates love or devotion. But what they don't realize is that there's a profound difference between being kind and being submissive. Kindness is a natural extension of confidence. It comes from a place of strength and self-assurance, not fear. Submission, on the other hand, comes from anxiety and the desire to avoid displeasure. When you start saying yes to everything, not because you want to, but because you fear her disappointment or disapproval, she can sense it, even if you try to hide it. Every time you bend your boundaries, you teach her that she can bend you, and slowly, without drama or words, attraction begins to fade. Respect isn't built by appeasing, it's built by standing firm. Women are naturally drawn to men who have limits, who can calmly say no, who don't sacrifice their own principles for temporary comfort. Saying no isn't rejection, it's clarity. It communicates self-respect, decisiveness, and integrity. A man who knows when to bend and when to stand creates balance and earns admiration. Submission breeds predictability and dulls the spark, while kindness from a place of strength creates admiration, trust, and connection. If you feel tempted to constantly yield, pause and ask yourself why. Are you acting out of love or out of fear? The difference is subtle but profound. By reclaiming your boundaries and learning to assert yourself with calm confidence, you maintain respect, deepen attraction, and protect the masculine energy that makes you magnetic, independent, and undeniably powerful in any relationship. One of the most dangerous ways a man loses a woman's respect is by forgetting his own mission. In the early stages of a relationship, she was drawn to your fire, your purpose, your drive, the direction in your life that made you magnetic and inspiring. But over time, many men start centering their entire existence around her, her schedule, her validation, and her attention. Slowly, without realizing it, they abandon the very vision that made them attractive in the first place. When this happens, you become emotionally homeless, drifting through life without a sense of self. You begin living through her, reacting to her moods, tailoring your day around her presence, and seeking her approval for every decision. And in that process, the spark that drew her in, the energy of a man on a mission, fades. Women are not drawn to men who are adrift, whose lives revolve entirely around them. They are drawn to men with direction, vision, and purpose. Her love can enhance your mission, inspire it, and even accompany it, but it cannot replace it. A man without a mission is a man without gravity. He becomes reactive, pliable, and ultimately forgettable. If you feel lost, don't look for her to guide you or restore your energy, look within yourself. Reignite the fire that originally made you compelling. Reclaim your goals, your ambitions, and your personal growth. The moment you start living through purpose rather than through her, you regain control, presence, and masculine energy. Women are drawn to men who are alive with intention, who have something to chase beyond fleeting affection. Your mission is your power, your magnetic core, and your ultimate source of respect and attraction. Without it, you are merely drifting; with it, you are irresistible. Another way a man gradually loses respect is by constantly trying to prove his worth instead of focusing on improving himself. Many men fall into the trap of proving they are good enough, caring enough, or deserving enough to be loved. They overcompensate with words, actions, and efforts, desperately trying to show their value. But here's the truth: every time you try to prove yourself, you are secretly admitting that you don't believe in your own worth, and she can feel that insecurity. Attraction is built on quiet confidence and self-assuredness, not on desperate justification. Women are drawn to men who are growing, evolving, and becoming more than they were yesterday, not to men who are constantly reminding them of their worth. Stop showing her what she could lose and start becoming what she can't replace. When a man focuses on improvement rather than validation, he commands respect effortlessly. This doesn't mean ignoring her or neglecting the relationship; it means directing your energy toward your own growth, mastery, and purpose. Your life should be a testament to your ambition, strength, and resilience, not a constant exhibition of "look at me, notice me, need me." Improvement is internal, transformative, and magnetic. Proving is external, reactive, and weak. When you become something remarkable, your presence alone communicates value far louder than any explanation ever could. She doesn't need paragraphs or texts to remind her why she's with you; she feels it in the way you carry yourself, in your calm confidence, and in the life you are building. Stop trying to validate yourself to her. Stop proving you are enough. Instead, focus on becoming a man whose presence, vision, and unshakable confidence naturally demand respect, admiration, and attraction. The final and perhaps most important way a man loses respect is by constantly running after love instead of standing firmly in his own power. Many men fall into the trap of needing a woman's validation to feel complete, measuring their worth by her reactions, and sacrificing their peace to maintain her affection. Every moment spent chasing her attention chips away at the quiet strength that once made you magnetic. The truth is, love doesn't need to be pursued. It flows naturally toward a man who is grounded, self-assured, and fully present in his own life. When you stop running from your own strength, when you reclaim your center, your energy becomes magnetic again. Silence, self-control, and purpose speak louder than any words, any explanations, or any attempts to impress. You don't have to beg for love; you simply have to embody it through your presence, your calm, and your unwavering direction. Every step you take toward your own mission, every boundary you honor, every moment you maintain your dignity, communicates more than 1,000 words ever could. Women are drawn to men who are complete in themselves, who do not depend on external validation to feel worthy. When a man remembers who he is, the world responds. His presence becomes palpable, his confidence is unmistakable, his energy pulls rather than pushes. You don't need to chase respect or love. When you embody your strength, it naturally demands it. Rebuild yourself quietly, consistently, and deliberately. Focus on your growth, your purpose, and your inner calm. In doing so, you not only reclaim her respect but reclaim your own power, your own identity, and the magnetic energy that commands attention, admiration, and authentic connection in every area of your life.